Sri Aman Air Pollution Index hits hazardous level. Law enforcers to use body cams while on duty. Hello and good afternoon. Welcome to News on 2 with me, Muhammad Amin Carlos. Now, Sri Aman Sarawak has recorded a dangerous level of air pollutant index or API reading this morning. As of 11 a.m., the API reading stood at 417.
Sri Aman is located near Kalimantan, Indonesia, where firefighters continue to battle the haze engulfing the forest, the main culprit to the haze. 4 other areas in Sarawak, which are Kuching, Sarike, Samrahan and Sibu, are still in very unhealthy level of the API of between 219 to 246. Energy, Science, Technology, Environment and Climate Change Minister Yobi Yin said another cloud seeding operation will be carried out in Sarawak today to help reduce the API reading in the state. Forest fires in Sumatra had caused a sharp increase in API readings in West Coast and south of the Malaysian Peninsula. A total of 22 areas nationwide recorded unhealthy API readings of more than 101.
Well, the Ministry of Energy, Science, Technology, Environment and Climate Change, MESEC, is waiting for the green light from the Cabinet to draft the Transboundary Haze Act. Now, Minister Yobi Yin said the matter had been discussed at a Cabinet meeting on Wednesday. And if the Cabinet agreed, the Ministry would immediately proceed to enact the Act as a long-term resolution in solving haze problems in the country.
Saya akan mendapatkan nasihat daripada peguam negara untuk sama ada bagaimanakah kita mendraft akta ini dan apakah yang kita boleh membuat masukkan ke akta ini untuk menjadikan ia efektif untuk menangani isu jerebu.
The minister said this after a briefing on the cloud seeding operations OPA by the Royal Malaysian Air Force RMAF at its Subang base in Selangor. Yo said among the provisions that would be provided for in the law would be the power to have Malaysian-owned plantations that cause fires overseas to be tried in Malaysian courts. However, the minister added even if the laws were enacted, regional and international cooperation was still needed to resolve the transboundary haze issue. She said communication between ASEAN countries was important and she would seek a telecommunication session with the ASEAN Secretary General to express Malaysia's view for an effective mechanism at ASEAN level and to seek long-term solutions.
And on a related note, Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad said Malaysia never asked Indonesia why it did not accept its offer of assistance to combat the haze causing forest fires in the Republic. Well, he said Malaysia had offered assistance to tackle the forest fires in Indonesia as it had water bombing equipment.
No, I don't know why. I would like to ask you why you don't want to receive our help, but I have not done that yet. We have offered all the time. We have airplanes that are special for water bombing. And I think that can be used.
Over the past few weeks, Malaysia and neighbouring Singapore have been choked by smoky air from forest fires, started to clear land for plantations, forcing schools to shut down and many people to wear masks so as to avoid inhaling smog particles. On Tuesday, Tun Dr. Mahathir had said Malaysia was considering a new law to compel its companies to tackle fires on land they control abroad, a move observers said could cause bilateral tension. Malaysia will also consider deploying drones to help in cloud seeding.
We are suggesting now that we use drones. We use drones to form artificial rain. Yeah, you know the drones can go to and fro like that. We can use several of them, and particularly with regard to Putrajaya, which is very badly affected by haze.
Well, the worsening haze situation has led to a sharp increase in asthma and conjunctivitis cases nationwide, based on checks at 31 Sentinel clinics. Now, the public who are highly at risk of contracting the disease, such as children, the elderly, smokers, and those with constant exposure to outdoor environment, are advised to take preventive steps to reduce the health effects of the haze.
Health Director General Dr. Noor Hisham Abdullah said asthma cases experienced a 15.8% increase from about 1,190 to almost 1,400 cases between the 8th and 14th of September, compared to the period between 30th of June and 7th September this year. In the statement, he said conjunctivitis cases rose by 24.9% from 253 to 317 cases over the same period. As such, the people are urged to reduce physical activities outdoors, wear face masks, and postpone any outdoor activities if the air pollutant index API readings exceed 100, in line with the advice of the National Haze Action Plan. Dr. Noor Hisham also reminded the people to keep the windows constantly closed so as to prevent the haze from entering homes or buildings, and turn on air conditioners and air filters, which can trap fine particles and prevent air pollution from getting in.
Daerah yang lain. Selain Jerebu, pihaknya turut bersiap siaga.
And on to other news items. Now, the government has agreed to implement the use of body cameras on law enforcement officers such as police, immigration and customs to overcome issues of misconduct. The Prime Minister, Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, said the proposal for the use of the body cameras was accepted as there have been various allegations of misconduct by officers on duty, such as beating the person being investigated.
Among the camera that we want to use is body camera, yang mana orang pegawai itu akan pasang kamera di badan dia, dan apabila dia bercakap ataupun orang bercakap boleh record. We can see what the person is doing, the officer is doing to the client. That is very important. For example, there have been accusation that the officers have bullied or beaten up people. So we want to know. Of course, the officer will deny, but the client will insist that he's been beaten up. So between the two of them, we don't know which one is right.
However, according to the Premier, the date of implementation of the use of that body cameras is yet to be finalized, as it would involve certain costs to the government. He said this after chairing the Special Cabinet Committee on Anti-Corruption meeting.
Well, on another matter, Dr. Mahathir has assured that companies acting as informants will be protected under the Pakatan Harapan government. Reiterating the government's pledge to combat corruption in both the public and private sectors, well, he said that those who divulge information on such activities would not be discriminated.
We are also committed in the fight against corruption. Corruption increases the cost of doing business and is detrimental to consumers and employees because the cost will be passed on to them eventually. When corruption is reduced, companies will make more money, which in turn will improve the compensation to employees, shareholders and the public as well. I appeal to corporate Malaysia to help the government fight the scourge of corruption, both in the public and private sectors. It is good for our well-being and the well-being of our children and their children.
The Premier said this in his speech during the $8 billion Club and Corporate Awards 2019 gala dinner at the Federal Capital last night, while admitting that the government has yet to fulfill all of its election promises in the PH manifesto. Tun Dr. Mate called on the private sector to be more understanding and support what Putrajaya is doing to resolve the issues. He also appealed to the private sector to ignore political sentiments by continuing to work hard for the betterment of the country and its people.
The Pulau Pinang National Registration Department, the NRD, is committed to give full cooperation to the Royal Malaysia Police in the investigation of illegal sale of MyCard to foreigners involving their officers. Now, State NRD Director Nur Zulfa Ibrahim said the department will cooperate with the police department to assist the investigation.
Nur Zulfa, however, said only several individuals were involved with the investigation, and this does not reflect the image of the department in general.
Untuk kes ni saya rasa dalam proses pertuduhan di mahkamah, which is I shouldn't comment anything about this. Dan saya sebagai pengarah Jabatan Pendaftaran Pulau Pinang ingin menegaskan bahawa memang kami sebenarnya committed lah dan memang bekerjasama dengan pihak PDRM dalam memberikan kerjasama untuk kes tersebut. Perilaku salah laku seorang pegawai itu tidak mencerminkan imej jabatan secara total lah.
On the 12th of September, 6 individuals were charged in Georgetown Sessions Court with 32 charges of illegal issuance of sale of birth certificates and identity cards to foreigners.
Communications and Multimedia Minister Gobind Singh Deo said he is waiting for the full report on the data breach involving the personal details of Lion Air and Malindo Air passengers. Now, he said the ministry had been informed of the data breach exposing passengers' personal details.
Dan saya akan tunggu laporan tersebut sebelum saya membuat sebarang komen. Kerana saya rasa adalah penting untuk saya meneliti semua fakta sebelum saya membuat satu kenyataan berkenaan dengan perkara tersebut. Khususnya dalam keadaan di mana perkara tersebut dalam siasatan pada masa sekarang. Ya, jadi saya akan buat satu kenyataan apabila saya menerima laporan lengkap berkenaan dengan perkara tersebut.
The minister said this on the sidelines of the launch of the National Fiberization and Connectivity Plan NFCP 2019 to 2023 by Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Wan Azizah Wan Ismail in Putrajaya. The breach resulted in personal data of millions of passengers' information, including passport details, home addresses and phone numbers being leaked through online data exchange forums. When asked if the report must be handed within a certain time, Gobind said there was no set deadline, but he hoped to receive it soon.
The Marine Police Force, or PPM, recorded an increase of 122% in the number of seized items from 81 million ringgit to 181 million ringgit within this 12 months. Now, Bukit Aman PPM Commander Senior Assistant Commissioner Muhammad Yusuf Mahmad said the seizures were made in 5,645 cases compared to last year's 4,094 cases.
Muhammad Yusuf explained PPM operations were carried out aggressively in preserving the safety of national waters.
Sindiket mula rasa gerun dah. Dia rasa hormat pada Marine dan dia orang tak beranilah cuba nak masuk untuk negotiate dan sebagainya. Dengan pendekatan saya tadi itu, insya-Allah saya dah beritahu semua komander-komander saya di wilayah untuk tidak kompromi dengan isu-isu sindiket, bersindiket apa jua sindiket haram.
The enforcement agency also listed several areas in Pengerang, Johor until Sepang, Selangor waters as hotspots for human trafficking and contraband cigarettes, drugs and liquor smuggling.
Welcome back, and News On 2 continues. Now, a bill to regulate activities under the Food Bank Malaysia program will be tabled at the parliamentary sitting next month. Among others, Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs, or KPDN HEP Minister Datuk Sri Saifuddin Nasution Ismail said the bill would protect donors from legal action in the event of unforeseen situation from the contributed food.
The bill is aimed to control and regulate all activities pertaining to the quality of the distributed food.
undang-undang tu. Objektifnya adalah lebih kepada undang-undang itu akan menyediakan aspek perlindungan terutama kepada pihak yang memberikan sumbangan.
He spoke to reporters after launching the Siswa Food Bank program at University Science Islam Malaysia in Nilai. The bill is expected to attract more contributors in the food bank program, targeting about 123 educational institutions next year. As of now, the ministry had managed to secure the commitment of over 430 contributors nationwide and 19 in Negeri Sembilan alone.
The Defence Ministry is aiming to collect 6 million ringgit through the Tabung Pahlawan campaign, or KTP 2019. Defence Minister Muhammad Sabu said this is to ensure the welfare of the Malaysian Armed Forces.
The Defence Minister said currently the fund only received donation from only corporate entities with interest and the Defence Ministry.
Sebab itu untuk tahun ini saya berharap agar lebih banyak lagi pihak korporat yang menyumbang kepada tabung pahlawan. Saya sendiri sebenarnya telah pergi ke dua syarikat besar dan akan pergi kepada korporat-korporat yang lain. Saya sendiri akan pergi untuk memohon bantuan dan menyedarkan semua pihak tentang sumbangan yang perlu mereka berikan kepada tabung pahlawan.
The minister was speaking during a media conference after the KTP 2019 launching ceremony by the patron of KTP, Tun Dr. Siti Hasmah Muhammad Ali. Muhammad also said the donation will be used to ensure the welfare of veteran soldiers and their families, especially the veterans with disabilities, widows and those involved in fires or natural disaster. Last year, the Tabung Pahlawan campaign managed to collect 4.18 million ringgit that were donated by the public and private companies.
Well, good news for weightlifting fans as the event will be recontested at the 2020 Johor Malaysia Games. That's Sukma. And the decision was announced by Youth and Sports Minister Syed Saddiq Syed Abdul Rahman after consensus was arrived at the 2020 Johor Sukma highest committee meeting at Menara KBS.
Sebab kita tidak dimasukkan sebelum ini adalah kerana isu doping. And now since that issue we've seen some great progress, kita telah pun membuat keputusan tetap secara konsensus untuk memasukkan semula Sukan Angkat Berat ke dalam acara Sukma.
During the Sukma Perak 2018, the Malaysian Anti-Doping Agency, ADAMAS, detected 4 doping cases involving 3 weightlifting athletes, including one at the 2018 Commonwealth Games in Australia. Johor will host Sukma from 11th until the 19th of July 2020. Meanwhile, Syed Saddiq also announced that self-defense sport Silambam will be introduced in next year's Sukma as an exhibition sport. He was speaking to the media at his ministry in Putrajaya.
And that concludes this afternoon's News on 2. In our top story, Sri Aman's air pollution index hits over 400. Well, join us again at 7 this evening. I'm Muhammad Amin Carlos. Thanks for watching.